I'm going to be sharing with you in this video how to understand people at a deeper level. Whatever connection you're talking about here, whether it's a business connection, whether it's a friendship, any kind of connection that you're talking about here, I want you to understand that. What if you can understand how the relationships in your life are happening and how things are playing out, and why, have a deeper understanding of why people are the way that they are. Why people do the things that they do. You know, if you see somebody make a negative choice and make a bad choice, to see, well, maybe why they're doing that. Or if somebody, makes a really good choice and really benefits you and helps you to become a better person and to assists you to becoming a better version of who you want to be, to see, well, like, why? Why is that happening, right? How can we build this understanding? Well, I'm going to be sharing with you in this video how exactly to do this. Now, the first thing that I want to share with you in this video is to understand that you really want to listen fully before assuming anything in a conversation. When you're having a conversation with somebody, I invite and encourage you to listen completely before you assume something, or especially before you say something about your assumption. Because if you assume something and then let alone communicate based upon that assumption, that it could not be the truth of the situation, well, then what's happening is that you can create a situation where there's not going to be a proper communication between you and that individual, because you're not listening to what they're saying. You're seeing it how you want to see it. And so that's inevitably so how we're going to move through life, is that you feel some type of way about a situation, and that you're going to project your feelings and your emotions and your thoughts about how that whole situation on top of what they're saying. That's kind of how, and it's like, that's like, wasn't that kind of egotistical? Well, that's the thing, we all have an ego, and life is egotistical. Being a human being is egotistical. There's a level of ego that comes with being a human, right? And so I want you to consider the possibility that, well, if you have an ego and they have an ego, you have assumptions, they have assumptions, there's going to be, it's not about winning. You don't try to win in these conversations. It's about understanding each other. Right? Do you want to win, or do you want to understand and to be at peace with this person and build a deeper connection? Like, which one do you want? Do you want to win an argument, or do you want to build a connection? Like, which one are you looking for, right? And so understand that if you want to understand people at a deeper level and to build those deep connections, you can't just be there to win. You have to listen fully before assuming and communicating what your thoughts are about that situation. And I understand that's a lot to take on if you never thought about it in that way. But I want you to understand that that's really important. It's so simple, but it's just so important. And I've learned my fair share of experiences where I did not listen before, I made an assumption. I did communicate, right? And then there's problems with that. There's a problem with these types of communications, and I'm here to let you know that you don't need to do that, and that you can just stop. You can just stop doing that and just listen fully before assuming and communicating. And that's going to change your life completely in a way that, for me, it did. And I want you to test that and let me know how that works for you. So the second thing that I want to share with you in this video is to understand, if you want to understand people, this is going to be very, it's going to sound a little bit cliche, but nonetheless it is true. If you want to understand people at a deeper level, well, you need to understand yourself. And that sounds cliche. It's like, well, that sounds deep. Well, it is a little bit deep, because think about it. If you want to understand people, why people, for example, and if you understand why does somebody go through life and they make a terrible choice, like they, like whatever that choice is, like, I don't really need to be specific. Right? Well, let's just say somebody steals something, like, and see, the example doesn't really matter. Like whether it's like a, cheating, stealing, lying, or whatever. And so whatever we're talking about here, the key is to understand that there's a reason why these types of behaviors happen, and that if you understand yourself, then you can understand why the other is doing that. And I'm not saying that you need to lie and cheat and steal in order to understand other people. What I'm saying is that you have triggers in your life that make you want to do things that you know are not good in whatever area, whatever topic you want to talk about, in whatever area of development. You have triggers, right? And you have negative emotion, and times in your life where you might not have the best attitude towards a painful situation in your life. Well, then in that situation, how do you deal with that? How do you deal with your triggers? How do you deal with that painful situation? What is your attitude? If you notice you have a negative attitude towards a situation, how do you deal with that? It's more and more self-reflection, right? Maybe at first you don't even realize that you have a negative attitude towards a situation. And then you start to realize, wait a second, I have a negative attitude towards the situation. I'm actually taking a little bit of responsibility here, right? And now you can go even a little bit deeper and see, well, now you can start to see the bigger picture and see, well, wait, why are you doing things to begin with? Why were you acting that way? Now that you've moved through that situation, ask yourself the question, well, why was I being that way? And now you have a deeper understanding of yourself, and you can move through life and see that in the other. You can see how when you dealt with your triggers, when you had a negative emotion and you moved through that emotion, when somebody doesn't move through that emotion, you understand exactly why they are the way that they are in that moment. Right? When you've moved through a certain level of development in your life, some type of fear, something that you were scared of, and you can see exactly why somebody else is stuck in that area, you're going to have a level of compassion towards that individual simply because you've already seen exactly what they're experiencing. So the key is to understand that. One of the keys for me was to realize that the more that I understand who I really am and why I do what I do, and my level of why I'm so committed towards the things that I want to create in my life, why I do the things that I do every single day, why I quote unquote motivate myself to do things even when I don't feel like it. You start to see why other people do that, and why when they don't do that, why they are the way that they are. Because when I see in my life why I'm not doing those things, and then I have a contrast there, and I am more disciplined, and I see when I wasn't disciplined and see those differences, right? I can see, well, why I was the way that I was before and why the way that I am now. And that's really crucial information to see why other people are the way that they are as well. And so the third thing that I want to share with you in this video in terms of how to understand people at a deeper level is to observe their actions. Just observe how they act in their life, right? Observe how they're acting in their everyday life. What are they doing? What are they doing, and how are they being, and how do they show up? What is their, how are they in their life? Just simply, how are they? Do they match what they say they're going to do? If they say that they're going to be some type of way in their life, do they follow through with that? Do they follow through with the things that they say they want to do and who they want to be? Are their actions useful towards their own being? Are they helping you? What are their actions like? Are their actions benefiting themselves and the other? How are they being? And so, are their actions making you feel good, or are their actions making you feel bad? These are really important questions, because if you start to observe rather than judge, rather than assume, and just observe how people are, then you build more understanding. Understanding comes from observation and just seeing from a non-judgmental state of mind, just a calm state of observation, right? From that calm space of observation and just seeing and watching people's actions and just seeing how they are, you start to understand them. You can really observe anything. You'll learn more about it just simply by watching it. Just simply observing it, you will learn about it. Whatever that it is, you will learn about it simply by just observing it. And so, whatever that means, whether that means how they show up to work, whether that means how they talk to people, whatever it means, just observe how they are, and you'll start to understand why they show up. If you start to observe a liar and a cheater and a stealer for a long enough period of time, you'll start to see why they are the way that they are. You'll start to see that there's a reason why, because their triggers and their traumas are not allowing them to be who they want to be, right? And one reason why, I'll just tell you if you want me to go a little bit more in depth before I conclude this video. Well, why does somebody cheat? Well, somebody cheats and lies and steals because they are attached to some type of trauma, that they believe that trauma needs to define who they actually are. Like, oh, this is me, right? This me. It's like, oh, they have a fear, and they think that's me, and so I need to act in accordance to that fear. That's what I need to do in order to make this situation work, because I can't be any other way. It's a fear response. People have fear responses, and they think that they have to be a certain type of way in order to do something. And it's like, no, you can actually, definitely move through life and not dishonor yourself or the other, and everybody can win. But sometimes we need to go through situations where we don't do that to realize that we don't have to do that, if that makes any sense. And all of this, you can learn this just through observation of yourself and the other. Just observing, see how you show up, see why you are the way that you are, and look at that in the other, and then you're going to become a better person as a result of it. And with that, I conclude this